Hey everybody, welcome back to another Reddit Stories with Ross video. Today I have a lot of Reddit stories to go through with you today. If you're new here, I read out some of the worst, most entertaining, most horrible stories that I can find on Reddit so that you can have some company while you're cooking, while you're cleaning, while you're driving to work, or while you're playing video games on another monitor. Today's theme, bad parents. If you're interested in listening to this audio only, whilst being able to close the tab or lock your phone, or if you want to download it offline so you're not using data while you drive to work, all these videos are on Spotify, the link is in the description. As well as that, please subscribe to this channel if you're new here and you want to see more of these. Okay, so number one is, am I the a-hole for liquidating my daughter's college fund to keep her dream house? I, 50 female, lost my husband 4 years ago. I also have a 16-year-old daughter. My late husband left me everything and told me to trust his lawyer. My husband had worked for 20 years as a doctor and did some minor investing, so I inherited over 7 figures. A year later, I decided to list our home of 12 years and received an offer too good to refuse. With the inheritance as well as the influx of cash from selling the house, I decided to move my daughter and I to Malibu because we always dreamed of a house next to the beach, but my husband was exceptionally tight-fisted and called homes there money pits. We found a beautiful home by the sea. I never personally handled anything regarding buying a home before, so I did not anticipate all the extra costs beyond the sticker price. But my daughter was so excited, so I decided to go for it. My late husband's lawyer was furious at my decision, so I decided to stop taking his calls. I ended up signing with a money manager who said that we'd be passively earning 90% of what surgeons earned per year. But the money manager ended up tanking a lot of our investments. I took the dwindling money out and made my own investments, which made it worse, and long story short, because of all of that, I only have around 35k available to me now, not to mention our debts. With the amount available to me, I am looking at only being able to pay 1 month of a mortgage / upkeep, and then I'm basically out of luck until my business gets clients. However, the place where we do have a significant amount of money is the fund that my husband started for our daughter. With the money there, I could prevent our credit cards from being shut down and not have to worry about the mortgage for many more months. So I ended up liquidating my daughter's college fund. I told her about it today and she was furious, and she said that she cannot believe all her dad's work is gone. She also said she won't be supporting me for retirement. Am I the a-hole for trying to fix my mistakes and trying to keep our house? Now, obviously, there's no actual money disclosed here, but I do think that it's impressive because realistically, this process, I mean, it takes a while to buy a house, but it's probably not been that long since her husband died, she inherited the money, and this entire thing went through. Blowing through over $1 million on something as silly as this is absolutely crazy. Having absolutely nothing to show for it. And the fact that I guess you still want to move to Malibu even after all the money is gone, just stay in the cheaper, less expensive place. I feel terrible for a daughter. I feel terrible for a husband. I mean, he's already gone, so I guess he's kind of out scot-free at this point. But an entire legacy of working his entire life to set you and your family up for success, for safety, for comfort, has been completely destroyed in a couple of years for some snake oil salesman who has frittered it all away on, I don't know, cryptocurrency investments. What is he putting the money into that's done this badly? But not only that, you made your mistakes. You took some of the money out, you made your own investments, they did badly, but now your daughter's suffering. Now your daughter has to be the one that pays the price for it. Is this what your husband would really want? I don't think so. What do the comments have to say about this one? You're the a-hole. You decided not to listen to the lawyer. You decided to move to an extremely expensive place, and you decided to trust someone's shady advice. Now, you're taking away your daughter's chance of being able to go to a college loan-free. That money is not yours. You should be ashamed of yourself. It's very true. It's not her money. She took her money. She basically stole from her daughter, and now her daughter is going to have to go into a tremendous amount of debt. I don't really understand how the American education system works tremendously. We get free education here for the most part, but it doesn't sound good from what I've been hearing from people who talk about their student loans in America. The sad part is this could have all been avoided if she just listened to her husband's final wishes. Trust his lawyer. Want a house in Malibu? Fine. I'm sure the lawyer could give her a reasonable timeline to sell. Likely not in the middle of a recession, and the budget for the new house based on their savings and investments. Instead, she made the worst possible decision at every turn, assuming that she was much smarter than everybody else. Poor late husband is spinning in his grave like a rotisserie chicken on Christmas Eve. So let me get this straight. Your husband left you a 7-figure inheritance plus a house, and in 4 years you managed to do the following. Number 1, Sell your marital home and move to a Malibu beach house that you can't afford to maintain against your late husband's advice. Number 2, your late husband's lawyer, whom he trusted, also told you that's a bad idea and you didn't like hearing that, so you started ignoring his calls. Number 3, you cashed out what was remaining of your husband's investments and gave your money to a random money manager you didn't know who made too good to be true claims. For your information, surgeons can make $300 to $500K per year. There is absolutely no way you're getting anywhere close to that with a $1 million investment. Now, we don't really know what the number was. It said 7 figures. It could be 9,999,999. We're not really sure on that one, but still a lot of money. Number 4, money manager tanks your investments, so you try to do it yourself and make it worse. Number 5, to go even further, you empty your daughter's college fund to continue living your lavish lifestyle that you cannot afford. You're the a-hole in the worst possible way. You've stolen from your daughter and potentially limited her future prospects. There is a reason why your late husband said trust his lawyer, and you obviously can't handle that kind of money. There is a reason why many people who win the lottery end up going broke a few years later. They don't manage their money and live way beyond their means. Sell your house and move into something you can afford. Replenish your daughter's college fund and try to repair your damaged relationship with her. A terrible parent, awful with money, possibly absolutely obliterated her husband's legacy in every possible way. Let's move on to the next Reddit story of the day. This next one is, am I the a-hole for calling her psychotic over KFC? It's my stepson Christopher's 11th birthday today, and every year on his birthday he gets to decide what we are eating for dinner. This year he wanted KFC. He's at the after school program until 5:30 p.m. My wife already went out and got the food and had skipped out of the room to start decorating the family room for his party. He invited over like 6 of his friends, so my wife spent over $100 on food. Well, when I wasn't looking, my dog got into the food and managed to wolf down at least half of it. I was in a panic because of the chicken bones, but my wife was absolutely furious and told me to get my mutt out of her house. She had to call a day in advance to get this much food, and now her son's party was ruined, as well as her being out with money because of my dog. I completely ignored her, honestly, and just rushed my dog to the vet to be seen. When I was there, she sent me this text: "Do not even dare bring that animal back to my house. I never wanted that dog here, and you forced me into an environment where I'm now terrorized daily by your unruly, untrained mutt. Your failure to train the animal has left this family miserable. You try bringing that dog back here and I will proceed to file divorce papers. I will be taking back the money you now owe me from your share of our combined finances." My only response was telling her that she's being psychotic over KFC and she had better not touch my money because I'm not paying for that. She never responded. However, my buddy is saying I'm definitely the a-hole because my wife has been vocal since day one that she doesn't want the dog in her house, and she has been asking me to rehome the dog since I got her. Am I the a-hole? There's parentheses here to give a little bit more context. It says, my dog is an emotional support animal, and she's fine, by the way, but my wife thinks that my excuse of her being an emotional support animal doesn't mean anything to her because she's convinced I didn't say I needed one until well after she said that she didn't want a dog here. A little bit extra context saying the wife came before the dog, been married 4 years, and got the dog a year ago. So I think we need a little bit more context here, and the OP of this post has actually made a couple extra comments after this to, I guess, explain himself. But first and foremost, the thing that pops into my head is there really shouldn't be any arguments or conversations about this dog. The thing is, bringing an animal into the home like this is a situation and a conversation that you should have discussed with your wife before you got the dog. This entire thing makes it seem like you just sprung this dog on your wife and your entire family. Having an animal is fine. If you came with an animal before your partner came along, if you've had the dog for a bunch of years and then you meet your wife, that's an entirely different story, okay? When I met my fiance, we both had a cat. We had Charlie and we had Casper. I think it's safe to say that if we couldn't accept each other's cats into each other's lives, things probably wouldn't have happened. But it's a completely different story when the animal comes after. You two are a pair. You two are a team. These decisions need to be made together. So the OP said, my dog has extreme anxiety, so there's behavioral issues. She's gotten into the trash quite a bit, or gotten on the table in general, but she hasn't in a bit. It's mostly the fact that my dog has a whining problem. She's always whining and tripping us up because if she thinks that we're leaving, she panics. So my wife absolutely hates my dog's behavior. I got the dog a year ago. My wife and I have been together for 4 years, and no, she told me she was leaving the room for a minute and to watch the food. I literally turned my back for not even a minute, and the dog got the food. So it is my fault, but I literally don't think that matters in comparison to what could have happened to my dog medically. Yeah, of course, you're allowed to be like upset about your dog, and you're about to be you know, scared about the dog because it could choke on a chicken bone or whatever. I think that there's like a lot more to it than that. We have to dig deeper into the comments to find out why. My dog loves my wife. My wife doesn't like the dog. The dog whines and acts out to get my wife's attention because my wife otherwise completely ignores my dog and pretends she doesn't exist. So my dog whines while staring at my wife. We need to dig even further. We need to dig deeper. Yeah, she was completely unwilling to compromise on getting a dog because she had been vocal since we started dating that she would never be open to it. She has scars on her chin, forehead, and behind her left ear from a dog attack back when she was like 10, I believe, and her mom kept the dog. So she grew up hating dogs and dog people who treat their dogs like kids. So she was completely unwilling to compromise, so I did what was best for me. I thought about getting the dog in training, but I haven't yet. And there it is. There's the smoking gun, I suppose. Your wife did not want to get a dog. You got a dog anyway. You were selfish. You did not consult her. And she put up with it for a year. It was whiny. It acted out. You did not send the dog to training or try and train it yourself. There's obviously like some psychological trauma that your wife has about dogs because she was like viciously attacked by one when she was 10 years old. Where is the empathy? There's a severe lack of empathy here, okay? You want your wife to empathize with you because you want an emotional support animal, but you're not willing to empathize with your wife because she was attacked by a dog when she was a child and obviously has some hang-ups about that as an adult. She just doesn't like dogs. I think nobody can fault your wife for the way that she feels about dogs. Plenty of people have lifelong fears of animals because of negative experiences that they've had with them one time. And sure, you're allowed to ask your wife and you're allowed to beg your wife and have a conversation about having a dog, but going out and getting one completely against her wishes when she said that she's not going to compromise on this thing is utterly deranged, actually. Because not only is she terrified of dogs probably, but after her mother kept the dog after it attacked her, she is now once again locked in a cage with this animal at all times. She has to live with something that she's scared of all day, every day. This guy is insane. I don't know what more to say about this one. So why don't we move on to the next Reddit story of the day. Am I the a-hole for euthanizing my daughter's emotional support animal for her own sake? My daughter recently turned 20. She's been dealing with major depressive disorder, social anxiety, anorexia, body dysmorphic disorder, and 2 autoimmune diseases since she was around 12. I'm very involved in her treatment and obviously wanted her to get better. So when her therapist recommended getting her a dog to register as an emotional support animal, we got her one for her 16th birthday named Juniper. I generally dislike animals, but it was for my daughter's sake, so I caved. Junie and my daughter grew close, and I have seen a notable difference in her since we got the dog, especially in her sense of independence and self-esteem. 4 years later, my daughter is now a part-time tutor, volunteers with the elderly, and attends school full-time with excellent grades. I'm so proud of how far she's come, and though I realise she has a ways to go, Junie has helped her, and I credit the dog for that immensely. Here's the problem. While my daughter was at school, Junie got out of the house and got hit by a car since we live right in front of a busy street. My wife and I rushed her into the vet where they were told that Junie would need surgery, which would cost somewhere in the ballpark of $2,000. I make a good salary, but I just cannot justify spending that much on a dog, especially when it may not even work and Junie would probably be crippled. Plus, she was pushing 5 years old, and her breed usually only lives for 9 to 10 years. Due to all these reasons, I decided that the humane and logical decision would be to euthanize Junie. At this point, I called my daughter to let her know the situation and the solution I'd chosen, and she freaked out on me. She tried telling me how she had $700 in savings and would quickly find a job to pay me back the rest, to which I declined because A, it's not just about the money, and B, I don't want to risk ruining her mental health by her getting a job, especially since she'd likely have to quit one of her volunteer jobs, which have helped her so much. I explained this to her, but she wasn't hearing reason, so I put my foot down and said that my decision was final because the dog was technically mine since I paid for it. Then I hung up. We put Junie down, surrounding her with love and gratitude. When we got home, my daughter had just pulled in and was hysterical. I told her that she was too old to be acting like this, and one part of becoming a competent, independent adult was accepting what life throws at you. Now she isn't speaking to me. I'm beginning to think that I should have at least told her where we were so that she could say goodbye. On the other hand, Junie already served her purpose in helping my daughter, and she only had the dog for 4 years, so I don't understand the huge overreaction. Am I the a-hole? I personally have maybe like a little bit of experience with this. I guess was faced with a similar decision, although to be honest with you, a 5-year-old dog is not that old. My cat Charlie needed surgery. It could have very well ended up with him having an infection and ended up losing his life if he didn't get that surgery. He is 17 years old. He is an old cat. He's an old man. He's an old boy. He's a very beautiful old boy. But in my head, there is absolutely no decision to be made here. I guess it's different because this was his daughter's animal and it wasn't really his animal. He may not have bonded with Juniper nearly as much as his daughter had, but Juniper had provided so much comfort and warmth and love to his daughter and kept her mental health going well. And Charlie has done the exact same thing for me for the last 10 years. There is no planet in which $2,000 is worth saying goodbye when you don't necessarily need to. Now, obviously, there's a conversation about if the surgery would work or if Juniper would be crippled after it and would have difficulty walking or being very mobile. But that being said though, as long as the quality of life is still good, you owe it to this animal that has loved you unconditionally for all these years to do all that you can and do right by them as well. They do right by you all the time. You got to do right by them. The original poster of this actually did leave some extra edits in here to give context, to give some questions answered. So why don't we read through them and see what he has to say. So the first thing is, some people are asking the same questions, so I will answer them here. I am not a sociopath. I am just excellent at separating emotion and preference of logic, especially in times of crisis. This does not mean that I don't feel anything. I love my daughter more than anything in the world. My wife was 100% on my side for the actual decision of putting Juniper down and agreed that her daughter should not witness it. She did, however, disagree with the words and tone that I used towards my daughter when we got home, which is where I began wondering if I am the a-hole. One thing I will say about this as well is that one of my childhood dogs, I was there for the birth of this animal, and I never got to see them pass away when they were put down. And that's a humongous regret in my life, and I think that that's such a shame that they think that their daughter shouldn't be there for Juniper being put down when they are put down, because I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it. You just want to be there to comfort the animal when it goes, and that's something that sticks with me a lot, and I don't know, I guess he just doesn't get it. I am not and have never been jealous of Junie. That's ridiculous. She was an emotional crutch for my daughter and will always be special to me in that way. My daughter did not love me any less after getting the dog. If anything, she loved me more. I don't know if that's going to be the case after this. Lastly, thought I would update you all that I did in fact talk to my daughter today. It took her some time to let me in, but once she did, I was able to explain my side, give my reasonings for what I did, and convince her to forgive me. She agreed, and we are all moving past this ASAP. I'm actually about to run out and get her favourite fast food for dinner, and we're having a family movie night. She's still acting distant and mopey, but she has her regular therapist appointment tomorrow, so I'm confident that she can vent there and her therapist can help her get through this without any permanent damage. By the way, I also offered to get her another dog, which wasn't easy for me, and she declined, so I don't think that her bond with the dog and like for animals in general is as unbreakable and solid as all you commenters are claiming. Junie just wasn't meant to be around that long, and I'm glad that my daughter was able to have 4 years with a dog that she liked. Now we're moving on. The end. What a miserable son of a gun. You're offering to get her another dog, she declines, and then you're saying, oh look, she doesn't even really like animals and dogs that much. Yeah, no, she doesn't want another dog. She wants her dog that you put down, bro. What do you mean? She wants Juniper. She doesn't want another animal. She bonded with that animal. I wouldn't consider myself much of a cat person, but I met Charlie, and I'm a Charlie person. Now I got Casper in my life as well, and I'm a Charlie and Casper person. Comments here saying, not gonna lie, she probably didn't want another dog because A, it would never replace Juniper, and B, she'd spend the whole time worrying that if the dog got so much as even a scratch in it, you'd rush to put it down. Another comment says, this guy clearly doesn't understand the bond people have with their pets. Animals, just like people, have different personalities. They're living beings. It's not the same as a phone where you just go, oh, this one died, so I'll replace it with another. Very true. Yeah, I guess this guy just isn't like a pet person. He doesn't have really any, I don't know, empathy towards animals, or even his daughter, I suppose. There's something infinitely more transcendental about being bonded with an animal than being bonded with a human. It's just like this extremely unconditional thing that you have with a creature, and you both simultaneously don't understand each other at all, but understand each other very well. It's not something that can be replaced easily. It's not something that can be replaced at all, to be honest with you. Even though people get pets, every animal is very, very different. And if you have a strong bond with an animal, you're never going to get that exact same bond ever again. You may bond with future animals as well, but they're never going to replace the hole in your heart that's left by this thing leaving. And you took that away from your daughter. If you don't get it though, you just don't get it, man. This one's just making me sad, so why don't we just move on to the next Reddit story of the day. This one is, I love my son beyond words. I wish I could send my daughter away. I'm conflicted. I'm on a roller coaster of emotions that is largely dependent on the situation I find myself in. If I'm spending time with my son, I couldn't care less about everything and everyone else. We play, we talk, we explore the outside, we stay in and watch a movie, we share meals and snacks, we negotiate, compromise, move as one. We find flow and lose track of the time. It's effortless and just feels so good. He is my favorite person. I happily choose to spend time with him no matter what it is that we actually end up doing. He just gets it. Sometimes I wonder if I'm insane and I've completely made him up because he just seems too good to be true. If my daughter is involved in the activity, I have one foot out the door before anything even starts. She's just difficult. She argues, won't compromise, wants things her way. Is unkind, is selfish, is rude, is never happy, always has to insert herself into conversations, always needs to propose arbitrary changes, ends up having a meltdown, needs to be pulled aside to be spoken to, ends up being asked to sit aside and relax, ends up being sent to her room where she slams the door and screams. She doesn't get it. She's a challenge that I honestly no longer am interested in facing. I've done sticker charts, treasure boxes, promises of all kinds of things. I've tried punishments and heart-to-hearts. Her dad talked to her and so have other adults. It feels like she's excruciatingly slow to learn consequences. She just wants to have fun, even if it's at someone else's expense or if no one else is. I'm tired, and it stressed me out and is likely why my health is not where I want it to be. She stressed every friendship and my marriage. I resent her very, very much for that. I wish that there was a return program for kids. Like, I tried it. I gave it my all for 3 years. I did everything that the experts recommended and got nowhere, so now I'd like to stop trying. I don't want to be her mum anymore. The work is nowhere near worth it. The best I can ever hope for is an uneventful moment. I want to focus on the child I love and not this pointless struggle. We need to fire this woman out of a cannon to the sun. I think based on what you're saying about your son compared to your daughter, I think that the fact that you have a favorite is probably very, very obvious to your daughter, and that's probably why she is acting out as badly as you think she is. You give your son all of this attention, you give your daughter none of the attention. She is acting out to get your attention. She just wants to be loved. She just wants to be loved unconditionally, like a mother should love a daughter, like a mother should love a son. And it is crazy to me that somebody is actually saying this out loud, posting it on the internet as well. They hate their daughter and they wish to return them back to the baby factory. I don't know. One of these commenters said that the daughter knows that she's not the favorite. Kids can tell, as well as that she's 3, and it seems like OP is describing a lot of malice that is more likely just the result of being 3 years old. That is very, very true. It's very difficult to think that like a 3-year-old is acting in malice, is acting in maliciousness. It's just a 3-year-old being a 3-year-old, man. Oh, one of the comments does say that the son is 4, the daughter is 5. Okay, I changed my mind. It's a 5-year-old, man. 5-year-olds are still little silly people. They do little silly things, okay? Sometimes they act out and all that kind of stuff, but if you are ignoring your daughter, she's gonna act out more. Apparently, the mother has straight up said in a comment that she won't take any criticism at this point. With young children, it is imperative that you evaluate your own behavior before trying to change a child's behavior. Exactly. This child has picked up all this stuff from their surroundings, right? And all these feelings that this child is having, probably of being like unwanted and neglected, are probably extremely confusing feelings to a child. They're feelings that a 5-year-old will not know how to break down and actually analyze and think about why these things are making them feel this way. This is not a creature with a lot of emotional maturity. It's a 5-year-old girl who just wants to be loved by their mother, man. Hold on here. It says here that in another deleted comment, it looks like her husband threatens physical violence to scare the daughter into behaving. Can't imagine why she's having behavioral problems. This woman is evil, and it sounds like her husband is evil as well, because this poor girl has two parents that hate her guts for some reason for just being alive. Excuse me, lady. You made this little girl. I don't know what more to say about this. It's extremely saddening. It's horrifying, actually. I seriously hope that this little girl... I don't know what to say, man. There's a long way to go before she can get away from her parents. This was a post from years ago, so this little girl was probably about 8 years old now at this point. I sincerely hope things are getting better for her. Or God help me, I hope that her parents put her up for adoption so that there's a foster family out there that can adopt her, that will actually treat her well and love her. This next post is, am I the a-hole for punishing my daughter for not coming to my wedding? I got married last weekend in my parents' house, which has been in the family for generations. For health reasons, only immediate family was there. My daughter, 16 female, has been calling her new stepmom, 21 female, names like homewrecker and prostitute, and I have been patient with her. She assumes I left her late mother because she had breast cancer. However, I did not leave her mother for having cancer. Nobody decides to have cancer. However, her late mother kept using her illness to devalue me and my sense of identity. She criticized the way that I was taking care of her, and even stuff like my hygiene or the cologne that I was wearing. She made me feel worthless, and I felt like she was just projecting her own insecurities by saying that the smell of my cologne was disgusting because she never made an effort to keep herself up. And despite the fact that I objectively found her disgusting sometimes, I stuck by her until my self-esteem was destroyed. I would work hard closing deals all day and be acknowledged for my efforts at work, yet I'd go home and she'd criticize and nag about every ounce of my being. I met her stepmom when I was in a dark place. She made me feel like I could be myself again. My wife made me feel unattractive and sexless, and with my new wife, I felt alive. Just the fact that she appreciated me and felt physical chemistry with me made me want to do anything for her, to want to provide for her. That's when I decided not to BS my wife anymore and file for divorce. Since then, my daughter's relatives from her mom's side have been poisoning her against me. Last weekend, when I and her stepmom went to the site of the wedding early, we expected to see her drive to the wedding later. But instead, she ended up going to stay with her aunt. Everybody asked where she was, and there was some chaos from my side of the family locating her. As punishment, I took her car and allowance away, and have taken her phone away until I feel that she can learn to be respectful towards someone I very much love, and that it will be impossible for her to do that if she keeps having to hear from her late mum's side of the family. My parents have called and said that I was being too harsh. However, even when things are tough, I feel like I cannot let a child of mine believe they can just do what they want. Am I the a-hole? Alright, Einstein, here's the deal. You have a 16-year-old daughter. You're now marrying a 21-year-old. Do you not see why your daughter may not be receptive to that potential idea? If they were in Scotland, they would be in high school together, man. Your daughter thinks that you cheated, whether you cheated or not, whether this happened after the fact or before the fact. Your daughter believes that you cheated on this woman. She believes that because she's 21, and you're presumably, I don't know, in your 40s perhaps, that this woman only wants you because you are going to provide for them. She made you want to provide for her. Now, the love could be real, but it strikes me as there's not a lot of communication going on here, because you should be sitting down with your daughter and having these conversations. Because I think that even if you look at it objectively, you can see why she would be upset. They are half a decade apart in age. You're dating somebody basically your daughter's age. Now, there's a couple of things that are definitely a little bit confusing that you could definitely use more context on. Stuff like when did he get divorced and when is he getting married again? What was the gap between that? Because obviously, if this is like fairly quick as far as like a marriage is concerned, this girl is probably still like mourning the death of her mother. And she's certainly not going to be very favorable on any woman, never mind one that's her age. Secondly, how old is the woman that you're marrying? Because you said she's 21. Is that 21 now? Or is that 21 when you met her? Because if it's 21 when you're marrying her, well, that certainly does make things even more questionable. Yeah, people were saying he kept saying her stepmom over and over again. There is a 0% chance that this girl is going to call this woman stepmom ever. Like, that's not going to happen. As he said, this woman has not helped raise this child at all. She's only 5 years older. It feels really weird and out of place And yeah, I don't think that this girl is ever going to be accepting of this person as her stepmother. It's always going to be my dad's wife. Oh, as it would turn out, the guy is 50 years old. Just from one of the comments here, that is far worse than I thought it would be, actually. I thought it would be not as bad. I was very much hoping for like mid to late 30s, like a young couple gets pregnant kind of thing, you know, two 18-year-olds get pregnant, then they're 34 and that happens. As it would turn out, nope, they had it at 34. They had it at 34. Now he's in his 50s and he's found his new wife. Oh dear. This is a pretty true one as well, it would seem. Oh wow, poor guy working like everyone else without the appreciation of his jerky cancer-stricken wife. Your hygiene directly impacts the health of someone with a compromised immune system, but who cares about a compromised immune system when you closed deals all day? It must really suck for you that the chemicals killing the cancer in her body changed her sense of smell and ability to tolerate your cologne. That must have been like super hard for you. You're the a-hole, give your daughter back her stuff and go get some counseling. Super true. That's about all that needs to be said about it. This guy's kind of creepy. 50 years old, going after a 21-year-old. I would probably like to say as well that there's a very good chance that they met before she was 21. I mean, this is America as well, so like she's not even allowed to have a beer when he met her potentially. I don't know about that one. Our last one on the list today is, am I the a-hole for being honest with my daughter regarding her coding ability? I, 36 male, am a web developer for many years and now have a lot of experience. About a year ago, my daughter, 9 female, suddenly decided that she wanted to learn coding. She asked me to teach her. I declined and explained that it is complex and I don't have the time and would burn out from doing that after work as it is tough, but that she was also free to learn on her own. We have a whitelist of sites that she can access from her laptop, so we were not afraid of her searching the web. She did teach herself a bit of C++, which is not a language I have used in years and is a bit outdated and is not the simplest to pick up. It's been a year and she calls herself Princess Programmer, and it is a little cringy and she likes to wear a nice dress or skirt while working on some simple games she makes. Recently she overheard one of my work meetings and learned what code reviews are and asked me to do one on her newest game while claiming that Princess Programmer wrote it very well and expects it to be very good. I noticed many issues like bad variable naming conventions, code duplication, using if condition return instead of just returning the condition. I told her that the quality sucked compared to anything that could be production code and that it would be easier to rewrite it than to fix it. I told her that if she wanted to learn more, she could rewrite it with my advice, and that programming is serious and not a game, and she should stop with the outfits and Princess Programmer stuff and maybe try an easier language than C++. She cried and threw a tantrum and is upset at me and says I was too mean, and my wife is now also upset at me and says that I should have lied and said her work was good and told her how to make it better. My wife did do coding in college, but she doesn't do much of it in her job these days. Am I the a-hole here? Let me think about that for a second. You're the biggest a-hole of all time. You have like a little super genius at your disposal here. This little cute 9-year-old girl who's calling herself Princess Programmer. I don't want to believe that this is real, okay? Because this is absurd. This is so absolutely ridiculous to me. First of all, she's making games. It is a game, buddy. The whole thing is a game to her. But you know what? Gamifying stuff is awesome. Gamifying stuff gets things done. If you turn things into a game, like, oh, you're doing a little chore here and there, that's a game. Make it a game. It makes it easier. Exercising as a game makes it easier to exercise. Your 9-year-old daughter has become interested in something that can make her a lot of money in the future, and God help me, a lot of people do not start learning how to program until many years later. Yeah, okay, I'm going to agree with you. Her coding, it could probably use a little bit of work, buddy. It could probably use a little bit of work. They're not going to ship that, okay? If she was working for Microsoft, she wouldn't last 2 weeks, okay? But here's the issue. She is 9 years old. By the time that she's ready to enter the workforce or even go to college or university to learn about coding and take a coding course, guess what? She is going to know literally everything that is on that course. She could probably skip the whole thing. She has 2 parents that understand coding, and she's also interested in it. You have the opportunity to turn this child into a programming genius by the time they reach high school, and instead you're completely squashing all of her dreams like a bug under your shoe. This comment says, my partner is 42 and is the lead developer / development team manager at his company. Do you have any idea how thrilled he would be if any of my kids had done this at that age? He would have happily reviewed the code, given suggestions, and even supplied a pretty pink keyboard or other computer accessory. I know this because one of my 70-year-old twins is very much a pink princess, and he picked out the fluffy pink monitor frame thing with cat ears that she got for Christmas last year. The original poster is just an insecure douche nugget. I would be so thrilled if my child took such an interest in something like that, that had the opportunity to be so creative and make all these cool things at that age. And God help me, if they started to learn programming of their own volition, I might as well learn it too so I can help them. They'll probably end up being better than I am, but it has the opportunity to be such an awesome bonding experience for this guy and his daughter. And it's just being thrown away and stomped on, and I just can't for the life of me understand why this guy isn't doing backflips that his daughter wants to be like daddy when she grows up, man. It makes me sick to my stomach. So that was it for all the Reddit stories for today. Awful, awful stuff, awful parents, but nevertheless, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. If you are watching this on YouTube and you're new here and you've made it all the way through, I'd greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel because it helps me out a great deal. This is a very, very small channel. Can always use the help. Give the video a like as well if you're listening on Spotify, or if you're interested in checking out the Spotify playlist, it is down in the description below. This includes offline viewing, so you can download the video so you don't use your data when you're out and about. Alternatively, you can have audio only, so you can listen to it while you're cleaning, while you're working, while you're driving. And if you're on there as well, I'd greatly appreciate it if you would follow that playlist and tap 5 stars on it as well, so that it gets recommended into the algorithm. Have a great one. I'll see you next time.